High school football kicks off this weekend in Oklahoma. Among those games, shining brightest among the Friday night lights is Moore versus Westmore, known as the Moore Wars. Joining me now via phone is Scott Wright from the Oklahoman to tell us more about it. Scott, how are you doing today? Well, I think your workload's about to pick up as we kick off the high school football season. We're talking about Moore versus Westmore. You and I were talking before we started rolling here that this game really used to have a lot of significance. You mentioned it was like the Jinx Union, which is, prominent in the Tulsa area of the western part of the state here in Oklahoma City.
It really was. These were two teams that were regularly going deep into the playoffs, playing for state championships. So this game always carried a lot of significance as to how the season was going to start, and there was always a lot on the line. And then, into the mid-'90s, Jinx and Union sort of took over as the dominant game, and they sort of redefined what a rivalry game is in Oklahoma with their dominance in Class 6A. But this game always was the standard bearer for a rivalry game around the Oklahoma City area. There've been some others Norman North, Yukon Mustang that have come along since then and really grown. But this was the first really big rivalry between the two really good programs that we had here in Oklahoma City.
Scott, you're exactly right. I can remember covering Moore versus Westmore back in the days when I was in the sports department, and there were thousands of fans packing that stadium.
Yeah, they've I talked to some of the old coaches from those programs. They remember having 15,000 people packed into Moore Stadium to watch that game. It was just a huge deal that everybody in the community wanted to come out and see.
You bring up a good word there, community. What are you hearing from coaches and players and perhaps other people from the community about this game in relation to what Moore has gone through this year?
The players and the coaches that are going to be involved in it directly are obviously saying, we've got to stay focused on the game. This game still means a lot to us as a game itself, but outside the lines, this is really going to be a significant event for that community because it's the first real positive community event that they've had since the May 20th tornado. There's going to be a lot of people that are seeing friends that maybe they haven't seen in the last 3 months, getting a chance to catch up with those people, visit with them again, and it's going to be a really positive environment. The football game's going to be big, and everybody's going to be excited with the ebbs and flows of all the excitement of the game itself. But in the stands, in between plays at halftime, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be seeing old friends, and it's going to be a really important event, I think, for that entire community.
It's going to be one of those "where were you when this happened" type events, right?
Exactly. I talked to Moore coach Tommy Knowles, former Moore coach Tommy Knowles, a longtime coach there, and that's what he says. That every time he runs into somebody over the last 3 months, even he referenced the time that just happened last week. He ran into somebody that he used to coach with back in the 90s that's still around the Moore area. They started talking about old times. He says no matter what, the conversation always turns to May 20th. Where were you? What was your family situation? Did you guys make it out okay? Your house do okay? All those kinds of things. So there's going to be a lot of those conversations in Moore Stadium on Friday night.
Let's talk predictions. Moore versus Westmore. I noticed you and your two compatriots, your two cohorts in crime there in the Oklahoman Sports Desk, are all picking Westmore in this game.
Yeah, that program is a little bit farther along. Moore has gone through a really rough, dry spell the last 5 or 6 years, but Coach Todd Waters in his second year is kind of turning the tide there a little bit and has this program heading back in the right direction. But Westmore is a team that, as far as on the west side of the state, is right there on the fringe of the top 10, has a chance to go and compete. They're playing in an east side district this year, so they're going to have to deal with some of the big boys during the regular season from the east side. But they're a team that has a chance to maybe go and grab a home playoff berth down the line and play for something big. But Moore's coming, and they're going to be back, and it's going to be a good ball game on Friday night.
And there's a third high school football team down in Moore, Southmore. We're taping this on Thursday afternoon. They have a game on Thursday night, and you'll be there.
Yes, that's right. Southmore, as far as the football team itself, they're probably the better of the three programs right now out there. And they were also probably the most affected, just with relevance to the football team. They had 22 players who lost homes in the tornado. So the Thursday night game against Carl Albert, the first game there at Moore Stadium this year is going to be a pretty significant event as well. A lot of the same kind of feelings going around, I'm sure, in the stadium tonight as they're all trying to get lives back to normal.
Scott Wright will be covering South Moore versus Carl Albert and Moore versus Westmore Thursday and Friday night for us. You can find his coverage in the Oklahoman and online at newsok.com. Scott, thanks for your time and expertise.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Varsity.